And hello there everybody, welcome back to Daytona for the PWRL Mike&Ike Cup Series. This is Gatorade Duel number 1, where drivers now from positions 3 on back will be determined on where they will start in the inside line, as this is the first of 2 Gatorade Duels. On the point for this race is of course the guy who clinched the Daytona 500 pole. That is of course Calvin Malone in the Dish Network Ford. Alongside of him is going to be Austin Ogo, who was I believe he was the 4th fastest in practice, so he's going to line up on the outside of the front row for this Gatorade Duel. Now, there are 2 different scenarios that come into this race. Number 1, from Austin Ogo on back through Kanan McCurry, Theo Stiegel, Dawson Wise, Carson Gum, all the way back through this field, back to the final spot. These drivers, they're going to be determined on where they will start in the Daytona 500 by where they finish in this event. Now, the second scenario is for the pole sitter, Calvin Malone. He has to make sure that he doesn't have a similar situation to what happened to Riley Ogle in the practice session, in the qualifying session. He has to keep his car clean and keep it out of trouble in order to start on the inside of the front row for the Daytona 500. If he goes to a backup car, he vacates, he forfeits his pole position in the Great American Race. So we'll be keeping an eye on him definitely during the course of the day. And all the rest of these drivers, whatever driver ends up winning this race, they will start on the inside of the front row, or not of the front row, I'm sorry, on the inside of row number 2 in the 3rd position for the Great American Race. Enough talk, let's get these cars rolling off. We're going to show you today's starting lineup from Daytona International Speedway. The first of 2 Gatorade Duels about to get underway. Here's your starting grid.
And now, here is your starting lineup for today's Gatorade Duel number 1 from Daytona International Speedway. Making up row number 1 will be Daytona 500 pole sitter Calvin Malone alongside of Austin Ogo. Row 2, Anthony McCurry and Theo Stiegel. In row 3 will be Dawson Wise alongside of Carson Gum. Row 4 comprised of Barney Ward and Dylan Poteet. Olga Ogo and Richard Johnson will make up row 5. Row 6, Hendrick teammates Kalish Schmidt and Kyle Sinoski. In row 7 will be Tristan Trivet alongside of Luke Walker, Joe Davis alongside of Brandon Bain in row 8. Row 9 will be Dylan Young lined up alongside of Lance Fogel. Andy Tran will line up alongside Leo Rogers in row 10. And in the final row will be the number 4 of Evan Gattuso. That's your starting lineup for today's Gatorade Duel number 1 from Daytona International Speedway.
Now, a lot of you are probably wondering if Calvin Malone or Dylan White, who's on the outside of the front row, he'll be on the pole for Gatorade Duel number 2. What happens if either of them wreck? Well, then what would happen is if Calvin Malone wrecks, whoever wins this Gatorade Duel is basically going to start on the pole for the Daytona 500. And if in Gatorade Duel number 2, Dylan White is involved in a wreck and has to go to a backup car, the winner of Gatorade Duel number 2 will start on the outside of the front row. It's basically that kind of a scenario. And you know that Calvin Malone, after running up in the 206 mile per hour range, he does not want to have to go to a backup car, because that car is pretty doggone fast. It was fast enough to put him on the point for the Great American Race. So here we go. 21 race cars will come down here to put us under the green for the first Gatorade Duel. 10 laps here at Daytona. Who's going to win it? The winner will start on the inside of row 2 for the Daytona 500. Green flag is out. Lots of big names in this field, a lot of them starting near the back of this pack. I see Dylan Young back there, Leo Rogers, Brandon Bain, along with Evan Gattuso. We'll see if they can work their way up here to the front. This is what the Gatorade Duel is all about. Drivers who may not necessarily have had a great qualifying run can kind of erase that and end up getting a great finish here in the Gatorade Duel and start up inside the top 10. Here we go. Well, we're going to go 4 wide. Oh my goodness, they are going to go 4 wide. Dawson Wise, Anthony McCurry, Austin Ogo, and it was the pole sitter! Oh no, Calvin Malone's involved there. Dawson Wise, oh, there's Kalish Schmidt involved in the 24. Dylan Poteet's involved. Kyle Sinoski, Luke Walker. There's Dawson Wise. The caution is obviously out. There's Austin Ogo, who started on the outside of the front row for this race. And we've got to watch here, Calvin Malone. Is he going to retire? If he does retire, that means that this race has all of a sudden changed its perspective. It would not be the race for the inside of row number 2. It'd be the race for the pole for the Great American Race. Can Calvin Malone get the thing back on the racetrack and salvage something? No, he's retired. He's retired, and not only has he retired from Gatorade Duel number 1, but he has forfeited his spot on the inside of the front row for the Great American Race. He will be starting at the rear of the field in a backup car. What a difference a lap makes. And the caution is out. We'll look back at a replay of what took out the guy who came in as the pole sitter for the Daytona 500. Talk about making an evasive move early on. Dawson Wise, Anthony McCurry, Austin Ogo, and the pole sitter, Calvin Malone, in a 4-wide situation here. And the contact's going to start right there. The 1 comes up into the 07, who comes up into the 15, who comes up into the 16. And it's just on from there. Theo Stiegel got a piece of it there. Carson Gum may have gotten some of it. Whoa, you see the 24 around. Oh. Andy Tran got a piece of it in the 2. Poteet, I think, was the one that turned Kalish Smith around. Luke Walker ran into the back of Poteet. Not sure how Kyle Sanoski got his damage. He may have run into the back of Richard Johnson. I think he did, actually. Everybody was kind of backed up there trying to avoid this because 4 cars were coming back down the racetrack in front of them. Oh, what a tough break right there. That's 2 Hendrick cars there that were involved. 3 Roush Fenway cars that were involved. 2 DEI cars that were in it. And that's just a tough break. There you can see there in the dirt. You can just barely see in the dust there. That's Dylan Poteet, the Quality Care Ford. And the caution is out. We'll get ready to go back under a restart. But Calvin Malone, in 1 lap, goes from being the pole sitter for the Daytona 500 to now having to go to the rear of the field in a backup car, as he's involved in what was about a 10-car incident there in turn number 3 on the first lap of the first Gatorade Duel. So we get ready to go back to Green Flag Racing. That 4-car, 4-wide situation that ended up causing a wreck, well, that ended up playing out in the favor of one Barney Ward. He is going to be the leader here for this restart. Olga Ogo will start in 2nd. 3rd's going to be Tristan Trivet. Joe Davis will restart 4th. 5th will be Dylan Young, and Leo Rogers will restart 6th. How about Evan Gattuso? You don't remember back in the practice session, Evan Gattuso qualified dead last, and he's up here in the 7th position right now. At this point, he would be starting, if he finished right there, he would start 13th for the Great American Race. Then you got Carson Gum 8th, 9th is Theo Stiegel, Lance Fogel runs in 10th, 11th Brandon Bain, 12th Richard Johnson, Dylan Poteet 13th, 14th is going to be Kalish Smith, and Anthony McCurry is in 14th place. Drivers out after this include... Oh, wait a minute. It looks like Kayla Schmidt actually is 1 lap down. Yes, she is. She's actually 1 lap down in 15th place. Anthony McCurry is 14th. My apologies on that. Drivers out as a result of that wreck include Andy Tran, Luke Walker, Kyle Sanoski, the Daytona 500 pole sitter, Calvin Malone, along with Dawson Wise and Austin Ogo. All of those drivers, all 6 of them, will have to go to backup cars at the rear of the field for the Daytona 500. So here we go, Barney Ward trying to, what would actually, well, you know, normally it would be that he's racing to try and start on the inside of row number 2, but now with the fact that Calvin Malone will not start on the pole for the race, that means that when the Daytona 500 comes around, the whole inside line is moved up 1 row, which means instead of starting the inside of row number 2, Barney Ward, if he won this race, would start on the inside of row number 1 as the new pole sitter for the Great American Race. That's what these drivers are racing for now. As here we go, we'll come down here, get the green flag on lap 6 of 10. Barney Ward gets us back under green. It looks like there's going to be a battle up high there. Olga Ogo was trying to get the outside line going. It looked like Tristan Trivet was going to go with her for a while there, but nope. Trivet now goes down to the inside, and he will help Barney Ward get up to the lead. Comes Dylan Young, Leo Rogers, Evan Gattuso, all coming into the mix here. These drivers are not only racing for a win, but they're racing for the pole position for the Great American Race It looks like they may go 3 wide here. Dylan Young getting a huge run into this corner with help from Leo Rogers. Both those drivers started way at the back of the pack. I believe Dylan Young may have started in 27th. Leo Rogers started, I think, in the, or not, I'm sorry, not 27th. Make that 17th. And Leo Rogers, I think, started in 19th. As here we go. Dylan Young's going to lead them down to the stripe. He will lead a lap, but really, with a non-points event, doesn't matter what lap you lead. All that matters is the last lap that is led. And here comes Leo Rogers now to the inside, and the 00 did not have a good qualifying run. He's going to try and pick up the pace here, try and get himself a much better qualifying run with a possible win here at Daytona. But here comes Barney Ward. He's going to get some help possibly from Joe Davis. Will it be enough to get to the inside of the Domino's Pizza Toyota here into turn 3? Nope, not this time. Leo Rogers will dive down low and put the block on the advancing Barney Ward. Here comes Joe Davis, though, offering the drafting help. Olga Ogo is also there to offer drafting help. And Brandon Bain appears to have lost the draft of this first pack. He's trying to catch back up so he can become a factor in this as well. Now we just got 3 laps remaining before we'll find out who the new pole sitter for the Daytona 500 will be. 3 wide for second. Olga Ogo sticks it way down to the bottom. Joe Davis in the middle. Up high will be Barney Ward as they're going to go 3 by 3, 2 rows deep now. Dylan Young sticking Tristan Trivet and Evan Gattuso in a 3 wide situation. And this helps out Brandon Bain in a 3 wide battle. That allows him to be able to close in here. He may be a factor after all if he can catch up to this pack of 7 race cars. He is closing now, and I think he's going to be a factor. Out of turn number 4 they come. When they come down to stripe, there'll be 2 laps to go in this event. The winner will start on the pole for the Daytona 500. If you're just joining us, the driver who won the pole in qualifying, Calvin Malone, wrecked out on lap number 1. Has to go to a backup car, has forfeited his starting position for the Great American Race. Now these drivers are trying to win this race and start as the new pole sitter for the Daytona 500. Here we go. Dylan Young, Evan Gattuso, they're hooking up. They're going to get to the inside of Leo Rogers. They're going to look for the top spot. Coming into turn 4, when they hit the stripe, the white flag will be displayed. Whoa, look out, Joe Davis! He turns Tristan Trivet! Caution's out! This is a race to the stripe, actually! For the win, it's going to be Dylan Young by a splitter! Whoa, look at that car wiggle there in the turn 1 area. That was close. If he had wrecked, that would have been a backup car for him, and I think it would have been Leo Rogers who would have been the pole sitter for the Great American Race. But Dylan Young held on to it. And Dylan Young in a photo finish, which was, according to our reports, I think it was somewhere around 3/1000ths of a second that Dylan Young just barely got Leo Rogers by. And so Dylan Young, under the caution, is going to win this race. And so Dylan Young in the Penske Dodge number 12 will be your pole sitter for the Great American Race. Unbelievable. We got to quickly look back, see that spin with Tristan Trivet as he got turned around by Joe Davis coming down to the white flag. Here they were coming out of turn number 4 here, getting ready to come down to the tri-oval and receive the white flag, and this all of a sudden turned it from a race for one more lap to a race down to the stripe. And right there you see Joe Davis. He gets into Tristan Trivet. They make some contact with Barney Ward, and finally the Fujifilm Target Dodge is going to spin around. He ended up crossing the stripe the last time in 5th. The next time he crossed the stripe, it was in 8th, as he was able to somehow, look at how he was able to keep his car together and turn it back around. But watch this battle down to the stripe between Dylan Young and Leo Rogers. Watch just how close this is. Evan Gattuso tried making it 3 wide here down to the stripe. He wasn't quite as much a factor as both Dylan Young and Leo Rogers. And look at how close that was. My goodness. Dylan Young, by the skin of his teeth, is going to start on the pole for the Daytona 500. Let's go back for the checkers. So here they come out of turn number 4. Dylan Young will start on the pole for the Daytona 500. Leo Rogers will start on the inside of row 2. Evan Gattuso will start on the inside of row 3 in 5th place. How about that? Checker flag waves. The Alltel Dodge of Dylan Young is your new pole sitter for the Great American Race. Evan Gattuso, he was scheduled to start the race in 42nd due to the way that he qualified in the Daytona 500 qualifying. Just shows you how this race can play out for the benefit of some drivers, and Evan Gattuso erases a 42nd place starting spot, and he'll start 5th in the Great American Race. But congratulations to Dylan Young. He'll start in the pole, and you got to wonder what's going through the mind of Dylan White. He saw his teammate wreck out and lose his starting spot on the front row for the Great American Race. You can bet he's got the jitters. He's going to have to survive in Gatorade number 2. That will be coming up very, very soon. Hope you enjoyed today's race. This has been a production of the Pro World Racing Series, where real racing happens, here on the NS Race Sports Channel.